I want to go ahead and break down each part of the sale. So the short pitch is that intro where we say, I work for your neighbor, we're servicing them for bugs, I'll do your house for cheap. So that is what we call the short pitch, okay? And then we have a couple of transitions designed to get around their smoke screens. If the customer asks how much, the answer is pretty obvious. We say, what's the square footage on your home? Then we redirect and go into the full pitch. And like I already talked about, if they say they're not interested, you assume it's a smoke screen. You respond with assumptive phrases such as, oh, okay, that's why I'm here. That's okay. That's fine. Yeah, I know. Yeah, sure. Yeah, most people aren't seeing bugs right now. You respond with some way to acknowledge their smoke screen. Now, my favorite line to use is this phrase right here of, hey, no worries, just keep me in mind. I'm Kyle. I live right here in Knoxville. We're a small company, but we get a ton of business because we're a full level 5 service. And then you go into the full pitch. So again, we've got short pitch, transition, whether they tell you yes or whether they tell you no. And then we go into the full pitch. Okay. The full pitch is where we build value. We go over the steps of the service. We're going to treat the foundation. We're going to treat the eaves. We're going to do the crawl space, the garage, the inside, and we're going to cover all of these different bugs. And sometimes we use phrases like, that's important because blah, blah, blah. So that's the full pitch. And then I added in here another transition. If somebody asks you earlier on, how much does it cost? It's pretty easy to transition into price because they're hoping you get into it. But if they did not ask how much, you can assumptively just show them the price, okay? So they say, I'm not interested, you have a card, perfect, here's my card. Keep me in mind, by the way, here's all the great things about my service. Also, like I said, I'm trying to fill a few spots in the route, so let me give you a quote and you can think about it. What's the square footage on your home, okay? So that's how you would assumptively show someone the price. But sometimes they're giving you evil eyes and you're like, I don't want to keep talking. You don't want to just assumptively just show them the price. What you can do is you can repeat the short pitch, but maybe a little bit more bold. Maybe the first time you say, hey, I'd offer to do it this week for pretty cheap. And then they say not interested. So you do a transition, you do the full pitch, and then you circle back around. And what you do is you repeat the hook of the short pitch. So you say, try me out. If I can service you this week, I'd offer to do it about 75% off. And then they're like, oh, really? Well, how much is that? And then you go into the price, okay? Also, sometimes they might cut you off halfway through your short pitch, okay? So you're doing your short pitch and you don't get to explain that you've got an opening spot in the route that you're trying to fill and that you can do it cheap. You simply say, I'm your neighbor's bug guy, and they're like, I'm not interested. Oh, okay, no worries, just keep me in mind. So you'd never finish your short pitch. So what you would do is you would stop halfway through your short pitch, do a keep me in mind transition down here, get as much of your full pitch done as you can, and then at the end of your full pitch, finish the short pitch. So the reason I'm here is I've got a couple openings in my spot this week. I'm going to be servicing a bunch of your neighbors. If we could take care of you while I'm already on the street, I'd offer to do it for quite a bit cheaper than normal. Yeah, so that's what you would do if they cut you off doing your short pitch. So we've got the price sheet. This is where you can either tell them the price, or if we have a slick, you can show them the price. And we'll have some trainings on how to do the price sheet well. Soft closes is I usually have some canned, not some canned, but pre-planned, 4 or 5 soft closes that I like to do. I'll scroll down here on my long version. You can see them. So soft closes, on this first one, I'll summarize the price and what bugs they see. Then I'll say I'm all safe for kids and pets, and I'll ask them, do you have any dogs that bite? Do you have any kids that bite? If they're in an area with sprinklers, I'll ask them when they run their sprinklers, and then I'll ask to see the backyard. And then it transitions into a hard close. So let me briefly explain like what a soft close is, just so you guys know. So, well, what I have written here, a rep transition asking basic questions about the type of pests the customer is seeing and information about the property that will be needed to service the home, okay? Here's the idea behind soft closes is soft closes in sales, we never just say, hey, so do you want to do it? No, we ask indirect questions that by them answering, they're indirectly saying, I want the service, okay? So if you say, so do you see ants more in the front yard or the backyard? Oh, okay, perfect. Then more in the backyard. The way it would work in the old days is you'd have like a clipboard and like a paper contract, and you'd be like, oh, perfect. Hey, ants in the backyard. And so it's called a soft close. It's like you're asking them the details they need, in order to sign them up. They haven't said yes yet, but it's a soft question that leads them closer and closer to signing up. You never just come out and say, hey, do you want to do it? You ask them soft closes, and eventually you ask for a hard close, which is a more direct question like, what's your first name? And do you want us to come tomorrow or the next day? Or does morning or afternoon work better for you? Typically what happens is a hard close, like what's your first name, will draw out their concern, because it's like, whoa, I didn't say yes yet. Okay. And then you say, hey, no worries. And then we'll train you on what you can say. I guess technically we could add a redirect, build value, resolve concern step. Okay, so that's a whole step that we're going to train on, which is after you ask for a hard close, it's either going to prompt a yes. Now it's never going to prompt a yes. They're just going to go along with it. Okay. And then hopefully you just sign them up a minute later. Or it's going to bring out a concern. And then when they bring out a concern, you're going to redirect, build value, and resolve the concern. And we'll do a whole training on that. And then you're going to price drop if necessary. The next part of the sales, they've either said yes or they've said no at this point. If they said yes, you collect the customer information, you explain the contract, you collect payment, and you schedule the service, and then you set proper expectations with the customer. So there's an overview. Those last ones should make sense, like collect customer information, explain the contract, collect payment, schedule the service. All of those should hopefully make sense. And we'll have in-depth trainings, or I'll make videos about each steps of these so it makes sense. If you want to, here's the long version that you can read through. But also there's a bunch of recorded sales on the university. You can go and listen to lots of different closes. So, and what I do when people bring up concerns and how I resolve them.